use that money that we're using for Ukraine and funnel that money to encourage a reformation.
Xander says, so knowing how emotional and religious both sides are, do any of you see any chance of peace without full-blown conflict? I feel like the lid has been blown off this conflict, scarily so. I mean, it looks like it from here. What do you guys think?
Blood needs to be paid in blood, but it does not necessarily mean need to mean all the Palestinians. Hamas needs to be destroyed, and that is the only way I really think that could really be taken down. If the Palestinians actually gave up the people who are working for Hamas and allowing that, it would be a step to really start mending fences there, because Hamas did target that music festival. You do not send paratroopers against a military target for you don't accidentally send paratroopers there. That was a planned attack, and that is unexcusable. That was almost the attacks on 9/11. And you can talk about regime change war all you want. You could talk about U.S. meddling in the Middle East and causing all Y and Z problems. As soon as you start attacking civilians for that,
that's a different game.
Yeah.
That's a different game. And so again, theoretically, I agree with you. I'm just I am in the position of I don't want American resources. I mean, again, knowing that we already have resources out there, but I don't want anything more taken away from America for this conflict. Even though I believe that it is wrong that these civilians and innocent people were killed. I think that's
why aren't we doing the same thing that we did after the Crusades, which is push for a reformation? Use that money that we're using in Ukraine and funnel that $4 billion. How much do we give them? Like $6 billion, $4 billion a day or something psychotic like that?
Yeah. OD.
And use that money to encourage people who are not Islamists, who are not jihadists, to encourage a reformation, because every other religion, the majority of like popular religion has had some version of a reformation, making them less violent. Like, I think that's the only solution here. You look at Mahim Hersi, I can never pronounce her name right. The one that needs bodyguards all the time. She's like a genital mutilation victim.
Yeah.
And
I think it's Ayan Hersi. Yeah.
She talks about how we need Muslims who believe in freedom, who believe in a reformation, because this, at the base of what this is, it's a beautiful religion. But there are a lot of things in this religion that are horrible. And having a reformation makes it way less violent.
Well, and I mean, I agree with you, but again, what does that look like? How does a reformation, how does that play out? Just getting people to believe the same thing, but just not as much?
Getting people to speak out and having people not be afraid. But I don't know. The politics of that, I don't know, because there's so many different countries that are Muslim with varying degrees of laws. So I mean, it would really depend on if we just wanted to change it here. But then there's so many moving parts. It's so hard to figure out what the solution-based thinking to this would actually be, because you move one piece on the chessboard and there's another piece at risk.
Well, and we also have to remember Islam is not a monolith. There's two major factions,
ironically,
smaller factions that are the Sunni and the Shia. So those two factions would need to have reformations within themselves as well. To have that.
Don't forget about the Uyghurs over in China.
Yeah, and the Uyghur.
Northeastern ATV Adventures said this Jerkolani girl is cute. She got an OnlyFans.
Sir, no. My Instagram's even private. Who are you talking to like that?
Rabbi said, we're almost 100 years into this now. Aren't we a lot longer than 100 years? But I'll continue. What land will they be asking for 100 years from now? How much land will they have in 100 years based on how much they've grown in the last 75 years? Well, I thought Jerkolani just said that.
Rabbi, is that allowed? Because if this is a rabbi talking, I want to know what synagogue you talk at, because I want to see these liberals with blue hair. Like, and it's always like that one person who did like a 23andMe who's like, I'm 3% Jewish. Like, I feel like that would be the congregation. It's possible. Not an ad hominem. I'm making some I'm surmising what's happening here, Glickman. I love you. You seem like a nice boy. We're gonna get married.
Rabbi, have you ever thought stop fucking around and finding out? So you stop losing more and more land. Maybe leave Israel alone and let them, kind of, deal with their stuff. Don't get me wrong, there needs to be changes done in Israel. What is happening in Gaza is unacceptable. I take a hard stance against what's happening to the Uyghur Muslims in, Xinjiang. I take a hard stance of what's happened to the Tibetans and the Mongolians in Inner Mongolia. And I will stay, on my path here. And I am disagreeing with what is happening to the Palestinians. But on the same side, fuck around and find out.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Shout out to Logic DB03 said Jewish people know well that they will lose their land after all. It's written on their old books.
Like the Old Testament?
What?
Yeah. If you have a little bit more explanation, that would help us out. Xander says the BLM leftist activists want Israel to fall so they can turn that defeat into an American defeat by raging war here and creating a raging war here and wanting to give our land back to natives, Mexicans, and POCs. Yeah, you think it's that much of a like an operation to create the precedent of the because I guess this goes back to the whole colonizer thing. You really think it's all? I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but they've been trying to do a lot of stuff that's not going to happen lately. That's
yes,
wild.
But the people who are calling for this land to be given back, there's some people in the tribes. There's some people who want. Remember, Hispano families lived in the San Luis Valley for X 100. We're Americans. All right, you go down to southern Colorado. There's Trump flags, and we don't get me wrong. We may have become Americans after we lost the war, but we're Americans now, and go fuck yourself.
All right. Well, Rabbi comes back to you with so when the Palestinians are gone and they turn their attention east, what will you be saying?
That's not our problem. We're to the west of them.
I'm down with that.
What indications do you have that they will push into Jordan, push into Saudi Arabia? Tell me, Rabbi. What is this magic crystal ball that you're looking into that says yes, they will? They are inherently expansionistic.
Fair enough. Wonderful. Actions have consequences. Classic. I mean, yeah. It's the problem is that it's been going back and forth so much that. What is the initial action? We've lost sight of that. And so just like, gangs in Chicago or whatever, that it's like, oh, he got my homeboy, but my homeboy got shot by dude. And it just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I don't see how that is, productive. And I can understand that it's not just as simple as saying we need to fix it. We need to whatever. But I'm sitting from the perspective, how can we keep as American safety as strong as possible while this is all going on, especially understanding that we have, 1 foot in Ukraine?
For that, I would say definitely, doing, maybe cutting him a deal on some rearmament. Their Iron Dome system is a little bit different than our Patriot system, but we could still start to manufacture these interceptor rockets that they've really used. That's the real major fear I have for Israel right now, is that they have actually tapped a lot of their Iron Dome rockets. And whether that's sending Patriot missiles over there and supporting them that way, I don't believe we need a mass amount of funding there. Not near as what we've seen of Ukraine, but comparing the two wars is kind of it's an overstatement because Israel is.
I'm not necessarily comparing them. I'm just saying that when we're fighting, again, resources are finite. So we have an issue on the southern border. We have an issue in Ukraine. We have an issue in Israel. This is like Logic is saying here. There's no shame. It's actually the beginning of World War III. I've been saying that before this even happened. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that clip, check out the full live stream link in the bio and catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you there.